Hi, welcome to Salt and Light Paint Night Day 1. Today we'll be using watercolor paint for this session. I will be painting in person during the session as well. This is our photo inspiration for tonight's painting. It's from my husband's missions trip to Libreville in Gabon, Africa. Before we begin, we need to gather and set up our materials. Make sure you have the following items: watercolor paper, paintbrushes. You need a few different sizes and shapes, 2 cups of water and an eyedropper, a paint tray with paint, a pencil, and a paper towel. Okay, so let's get started. Begin by drawing the outline of objects from the reference photo. Keep your drawing simple, use minimal details, and draw lightly. Once you are done, you can resume the video. Next, use the dropper and add water to the empty spots of your paint tray for mixing. Okay, we are ready. Get a medium round brush. I am mixing a light wash of blue for my sky. I'm taking a little of the blue paint and mixing it with water to dilute it. I like to start at the top of my paper, which is the sky, and then work my way down. With watercolor, it's best to work in layers, meaning let the paint dry before adding more on top. The layers usually start with light washes of color, and then as we add to it, they become saturated and eventually more detailed. I'm using the side of my brush to spread the paint across my paper. Now I'm creating a wash of brown by adding a small amount of brown to a new well of water. For best results, I like to take a lot of water in my brush, let it pool up, and then I just kind of spread that pool of water across my mountain with the side of my brush, and then I use the tip to fill in the smaller edges, like in between the trees and the buildings. As you paint, you may find small puddles of water, but you can use your paper towel to gently dab them off. I'm mixing some yellow for the buildings. I'm now going to mix some gray for the large building on the front left corner. You can do this by adding a little blue, red, and yellow to some water, and then go ahead and fill in that building. I'm moving on to the foliage. I will be mixing multiple shades of green throughout the video. You can pause and do this ahead of time if you'd like. You can do this by adding small amounts of brown to your greens to make an olive green. To make a hunter green, you can use a little blue and green. And then to make it like a bright green, you can use green and yellow. I'm going to let those layers dry and move on to the floor and then the roof. This will be my second layer for the ground. I'm just mixing some brown and dabbing that all across my paper, and I can slowly blend that down so it can fade so I won't have that dark line. The roof, I mixed a little brown to a clean well of water and a little red. I started off with a round brush but didn't like the lines, and then I decided to use a flat brush. I'm dragging my brush to create diagonal lines for both sides of the roof. I'm doing the same for the other house. I really like this dark red brown, so I'm using the same color I mixed for the roof for the third layer on the ground. I'm just dragging that across as well and adding a couple more rows of the dark brown to the bottom of the paper. And I'm blending a little yellow, just soften up the brown. I'm now starting my second layer on the foliage. So I'm going to make more saturated colors of green. I did switch to a small brush for this, a small round brush. I'm still using a dabbing motion for most of the trees. It's helpful to reference the photo as you do this so you know where to place the trees and which shade of green should be used. A good tip is to use lighter, brighter colors towards the top or where the light is shining on objects, and the darker colors towards the bottom where you see shadows. Don't forget the trees in the mountains as well. Okay, now we're almost done with the foliage. We're letting that dry. We're using that same brown we used for the rooftops on the rooftops that are in the background. And I'm using paint without water to add detail lines to the homes. Like the windows and the doors. I'm mixing a light yellow to fill in the sides of the homes in the background and the home in the front, the bottom right as well. I'm mixing a dark gray for the doorway and the windows. I'm using this same gray to fill in the home on the bottom left. Make sure you get in between those tiny little spaces in the grass. Lastly, I mixed a darker gray to add clouds to the sky. I did switch to a large round brush to do this. I hope this video was helpful and that you enjoyed paint night. God bless.